the wrestling podcast that sets all other podcasts apart. Covering news from the world of WWE, AEW, TNA, and more. Your favorite weekly episodic podcast, Ramblers Unleashed, starts now.
You ever heard that song, Just the Two of Us? That's what it is this week. J-Bone and myself joining you. Oh, man. Boy. I know. How you doing? It's good to be with you on this super Saturday, your Saturday afternoon delight. Ramblers Unleashed, the weekly episodic podcast.
Super.
I know. Super duper Saturday. And it's all with your weekly episodic podcast on the wonderful world of professional wrestling. As you can see, we are down 2 Ramblers today. Not sure where the Mighty Max Magus is. He's probably set his own assignment somewhere. I have no idea. So we'll have to, if he makes it in today, we'll have to see what assignment he was on. But you might notice that the Baron is missing, and it's kind of a very serious situation that we have going on here as the situation continues to develop. Baron's missing in action. We're kind of worried about him. So the show has hired an elite group of individuals who will be known as the Ramblers Bureau of Investigation, or the RBI, to find out where the hell Baron is. But we do know this. J-Bone, that Liv Morgan has apparently kidnapped the Baron and is holding him hostage. I'm not sure what she wants other than, the Baron's body. But hopefully we can find him, bring him back safely on the show next week, and he can give us all the details of his harrowing experiences. Our crack team of investigators find his whereabouts and bring him home safely. So, Baron, here's to you, buddy. We hope that Liv is not torturing you.
Too badly.
Yeah, too badly. But we hope that everything is okay. So here's to you, Baron, as I sip on my water. Let me introduce the producer of our show, the man, the myth, the absolute legend. For without his techie know-how and the gizmos that he brings to the show, plus his vast wrestling knowledge and his missus, because she graciously gives us his time to do this show, because we all acknowledge Mrs. J-Bone. I acknowledge Mrs. J-Bone.
I acknowledge Mrs. J-Bone too.
Yes.
Every day.
You better. He is the host. He is the host of Smash's podcast and Total Nonstop Impact, with the latest TNA reviews on YouTube over any other podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the great and infamous J-Bone. Golfer, clap for you, sir. How are you this week?
I'm good. I missed out on my TNI crew from Thursday, and I'm glad to be back doing this. So
why'd you miss?
Just was having a bad mental health day.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? It's always good to unwind sometimes and let things just settle down,
Yeah.
We're glad you're here this week, because boy, do we have a lot to discuss.
Oh yeah.
On what happened this week in professional wrestling. We have Smackdown. That was last night, a big show, kind of a controversial show as well. Plus, what's going to happen going forward with the WWE. And, we have the finale of Who Killed WCW on Vice TV. Did that draw a solid viewership? Plus, we have a question of the day for our viewers. And we're going to talk some AEW news, because, man, they are in the news. Of course, we're going to give you our thoughts on the predictions for Forbidden Door tomorrow on pay-per-view. AEW's Forbidden Door for that pay-per-view. And are you excited, J-Bone, for Forbidden Door?
I am. I haven't been keeping up with AEW, but I know enough to, I know who's on the card, and I kind of know who's doing what. It's it's a whole hodgepodge of AEW and New Japan stuff. So it's a massive card.
It is. It's a big card too, honestly.
Oh
What,
my God.
13 matches?
Yeah.
Insane. So I think I heard some rumblings from Mr. Magus. I think he'll join us very, very shortly.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he's always doing something. He's always on some sort of assignment, so we'll figure out what assignment he's on. First and foremost, our thoughts and prayers to Roman Reigns and his family for the loss of his father, Sika Anoi. He passed away Tuesday at the age of 79. And it's kind of interesting to note too, because even though that Roman and his family are mourning the loss, I read a story that Roman was at the hospital that I guess his father was at, and he was greeting and talking to patients in the hospital, kids in the hospital, which is really, really cool, so that he can,
wow.
Not only mourn the loss of his father, but he can honor the legacy of his father by, saying hi to the fans that love Roman. So that's kind of cool. I found that story, and I thought that, that's really impressive to put to have something impactful like that, like your father passing away, but you still can go and greet your fans and kids that are in the hospital.
That can't be easy.
No.
Can't be easy. Yeah, I'm sure he's going through a million different emotions, which, and doing all that at the hospital might have been just his way of coping, because everything's going to hit him at different times,
Right.
And that's how mourning goes. It doesn't always hit you at once. Sometimes you're just in shock. So you're multitasking, doing other stuff. Yeah.
And it's also healing too. Courtney in the chat, thank you for that. She said one patient was with Roman for over 2 hours. That's got to be healing.
Wow.
That's got to be healing for Roman. So our thoughts and prayers and condolences to Roman and his family as they still mourn the loss of his father.
Wow.
Rest in peace. I don't know, J-Bone, do you have a Tim Bell salute?
I do, but I got a story first.
Yeah.
So I looked up, and when I was a wee little nard,
Just a
wee little guy, my dad took me to Wisconsin State Fair, and if you're familiar with Wisconsin State Fair, you know that they have like concerts out on the racetrack during State Fair. And well, this is like the summer of 87. I think this is like right after WrestleMania 3, where Hogan beat Andre. Mm-hmm. So WWF at the time is hot at the, that they're going crazy. They got all these new stars and everything.
Right.
And the one guy, and I looked it up on, it was a cage match.net or whatever it is. One of those sites that has all the matches and who wrestled who. And there's a partial card on there, and it said that Hogan wrestled Sika.
Oh.
And I'm like, I know Hogan was there, but I do not remember Sika. So I looked up to see when else and it was a very short rivalry, didn't last long. Excuse me. But I looked, and later, a few months later, on Saturday night's main event in, I believe it was somewhere in Pennsylvania. And this is all a very crucial episode, might be the greatest episode of Saturday night's main event ever. And I'll get to why. Mm-hmm. So Hogan faced Sika in that Saturday night's main event. And Sika was being managed by Mr. Fuji at the time, and Sika was just wide-eyed, looked psychotic. He was a crazy Samoan. He was chewing on a dead chicken, just ripping a chicken neck, and feathers were going. It was just like, wow.
It was
one thing that's like, what's that?
It was unseen at the time. Nobody really saw that in professional wrestling, which is really cool. It was a groundbreaking moment.
Right. And it's like inspired by Ozzy Osbourne. No. But so he's doing all this. They have their match, but it's the same night that Randy Savage faced Honky Tonk Man for the Intercontinental Championship. And then the Hart Foundation interfered and attacked Randy. Randy's valet, Elizabeth, got thrown to the ground by Honky Tonk Man. And for those of you listening, this might start ringing bells because this is why I said this was a huge night in WWF history. Yeah. Elizabeth, all just messed up from being thrown to the ground, runs away with security, comes back with Hulk Hogan.
Ooh.
Is this starting to ring a bell now?
Yep.
And he gets in the ring and fights off the Hart Foundation, and Macho Man thanks him, and this was the start of the Mega Powers, folks. It was such a fun episode, and I'm like, man, and all I was looking for was like the Hogan Sika match, but there was so much more surrounding it, and it was but it was cool. I had to throw that in there about Sika because I remember a lot from my youth, but there's certain characters that weren't around for a super long time when I was watching. So, but yeah, such a fun match. Sika is an animal tearing up a chicken. Reminds me of what Conan always said about you can't tear up a chicken at a luau or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So if you have the 10 bell salute, I think it's only appropriate that we do a 10 bell salute for Sika Anoa'i, who passed away again Tuesday at the age of 79. I will take my hat off for this because to be respectful. No, you're fine. You're good. But just to be respectful as we ring the 10 bells for Sika.
All right. Here we go.
Rest in peace, Sika Anoa'i, passing away at the age of 79 on Tuesday. We will certainly miss you, and we definitely do not forget the impact that he made on professional wrestling and continues to make, honestly, his impact with pro wrestling through his children, which is really cool, and his whole family. You know, I mean, he's got a hell of a legacy, and that family continues to build that legacy, and we're here for it. So let's dive in to some of the stories as we wait for Max's arrival, because I understand he's on his way from whatever assignment he was on. I don't know what he's doing, but we'll find out soon. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room, man. SmackDown last night was on fire, and specifically, impressively,
the final few moments. Oh my God!
Moments of SmackDown when the Bloodline came out, the new Bloodline came out, because I'm gonna refer to them as the new Bloodline because there's only one Bloodline to me, and that's Roman's Bloodline.
I hear you.
The new bloodline comes out, and Paul Heyman is out there, and Solo Sikoa is wanting the new members of the bloodline to acknowledge him as the tribal chief, and all but one acknowledge him, and that is Paul Heyman, who does not acknowledge Solo Sikoa as the new tribal chief of the bloodline. And for that, took a very, very, very impressive triple power bomb through the announce table. Why is this impressive? Mainly because Paul Heyman's age. Guy's 58. He's not a spring chief anymore. And it's, it still shows his willingness to be part of the storyline and to take a bump and to be slammed through a table at 58 years old. That's just impressive. So I, for one, applaud Paul Heyman for doing that, man. That is so impressive. I was blown away.
The Emmy goes to Paul again, and I've said this week after week after week. He was unshaven. His eyes were bloodshot. He looks like he's been just lack of sleep, stressful nights, worried about all this stuff. He's trying to stay in the lines of where Solo's going, which is yet so unpredictable. So that's half the stress right there. Mm-hmm. Last week being told Roman's not coming back, and now this week having his whole new crew of the bloodline, including Jacob Fatu. By the way, that separate entrance for Jacob Fatu.
Oh, it was fire.
Absolutely wicked. And that really set Paul off, because Paul is trying to figure out where Jacob is he made such an impact last week, just probably scaring the crap out of Paul. Everyone's been so unpredictable. He's trying to keep track of everything and keep track of everyone and be respectful at the same time, but he can't do it if he doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Right.
So, oh my God. Yeah. And the crowd, the 19,000 strong at Madison Square Garden, fully behind Paul. He got quite the pop when he refused to acknowledge Solo Sikoa as the head of the table. Is your tribal chief. He's like I can't. And he looked up at the sky. He's like, why have you forsaken me? It's like, oh man, it's brutally emotional. Just so much emotion going into this. Just one last thing, and then also before the announcer table shot, Jacob Fatu hitting him with a flying headbutt off the top rope. I
was just going to say that. I was just going to bring that up. And, not only did he go through a table, but he took another bump from Jacob Fatu, which was just, it just rings true of how much Paul Heyman loves and respects this industry, that he would just take those kind of bumps at 58 years old. That says everything about Paul Heyman, man. And another thing too is Kayla Braxton is leaving the WWE. They sent her off a big farewell on SmackDown last night. A lot of stuff is going on. We're not quite sure where Kayla is going. We do know that it won't be with AEW. Thank God.
No, she's probably just going on to bigger and better things. A lot of times when people in her position leave the WWE, they go on to do sports or announcing for something local in their area. So it's like, hey, good on them.
It's kind of like I saw a video of back in the day. I think it was the late 90s, where Shawn Michaels was at one time doing sports for a local TV affiliate in Texas. And that's when he was still with the WWF, but he was doing that as a side gig, which, I can totally see that. I totally see, people from the WWE, like backstage interviewers and things like that. Somebody with journalism, broadcast journalism experience, going on to work for the, ESPN or the UFC or something like that. So, good on Kayla Braxton. We do wish her well. We'll miss her. And in the WWE, I wish Samantha would go with her too, but it is what it is. You're getting word, J-Bone?
I'm getting word. We got a fellow colleague in the studio. We're gonna bring him in right now.
Okay. There he is.
Good day, Max Magus.
Hi, Max.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
All right. We knew that you were on assignment, which is why you're late. But what was the assignment that you chose? Because sometimes, you go rogue. I give assignments out to some, and I have a whole list of them, and some people choose to either do the assignment or they don't do the assignment. But you, Max, you are the neighborhood heel, so you do what you want, and you sometimes go rogue. So what was your assignment today? Why are you late?
I was trying to find out why Aldis hates Heyman so much that he sent away the only people that would have been willing to save Heyman last night. And he threatened to sick the NYPD on me, that bastard.
Oh, man. He wouldn't give you any details at all.
No, but he just told me to go away, that he has no idea who I am and why I'm there, but he doesn't have to talk to me, and he won't, so get out of his office.
Even though you were wearing a Ramblers Unleashed hat, that should have been the media pass.
Apparently, the rules have gotten stricter recently.
I sent you a media pass, Max. What happened to it? Did you lose it?
Well, there was a little incident. A werewolf got a hold of it, and he chewed it up before I could get it back, and I decided not to push my luck.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I was going to say it's either the Samoan werewolf or you lost it during the move from Texas back to Colorado. But we're happy that you're here, Max, and we're happy that you're okay. And we'll find out what happened to Paul Heyman, and we're going to find out what's going on with Baron and why he's missing, because I know you probably didn't see this memo, Max, but we have established a team of individuals known as the Ramblers Bureau of Investigation, or the RBI, to find out where the hell Baron is. We do know that Liv Morgan has kidnapped the Baron and is holding him hostage. We don't know what Liv wants besides the Baron's body, but hopefully our team of investigators can bring the Baron back, and we can find out what the hell Liv did to him this week.
Isn't it enough that she's breaking up Dom and Mommy? She has to go after our guy too? I
know. I don't understand it. So hopefully we can. I mean, I'm paying these RBI guys a whole lot of money to go look and find the Baron, to see where the hell he is, and bring him back safely to us. Because I think we all need to know. I think we're all behind this. I think the Baron has a lot of fans here, and they're all worried about him. So
here's my guess. He's probably stuck in a broom closet with Finn Balor, playing video games, eating huge platters of, let's see, what was Dom eating? Oh, chicken nuggets.
Yeah,
chicken nuggets. Yeah, that's my guess. So hopefully it's nothing worse than that.
And you know why they're eating chicken nuggets, right? Because he is the high one, he is the Baron. So I'm pretty sure that they're trying to pass time to get over whatever they're doing, whatever Liv is doing to both of them. So again, we'll have to see if Baron returns to us next week, and if so, we can find out what the hell happened with him.
Stay strong, Baron. Stay strong.
We're behind
don't
you,
give
brother.
in.
We're behind you, brother. Well, he might want to give in. I don't know, but yeah. We'll find out if our RBI guys can find the Baron. Let's move on
They better
to
be feeding him.
I know. Let's move on to more news because we got a lot to dive into this week. There's been some frustration over last night's SmackDown regarding censorship from Madison Square Garden. We saw lots of black screens on Fox this week on SmackDown, and this is WWE's new method of censoring dirty fan chants, and it was certainly noticed within the company. Fans at Madison Square Garden had a potty mouth during many of the chants on SmackDown. Instead of muting the feed, the network decided to just black out the screen as if a wardrobe malfunction occurred. And this decision was made, we're being told, by Fox, not the WWE. I mean, you also saw a black screen when Nia Jax made her way to the ring. And that's because a child who was in front row decided to flip Nia Jax off and give her the finger, and they
is that why?
Yes, that's why you saw a black screen with Nia Jax. It was so stupid. And then understand
it got to the point, I don't know if this was on everyone's, but the local affiliate in my town in Fox in Milwaukee, it was so much at one point they started putting up technical difficulty things on the screen, and it's like technical difficulty. What is going on?
Right.
So listen, this is my opinion of whoever decided that just blacking things out was the right idea. I'm quoting Nick Fury. I recognize that Fox has made a decision, but given that it's a stupid ass decision, I've decided to ignore it.
Yeah. And, they understandably cut the audio when the fans chanted, fuck you, Solo, during the power bomb, the triple power bomb to Paul Heyman through the announce table.
At the end of the show, yeah.
At the end of the show. So here's the question of the day for our fans, our listeners, our viewers. Should SmackDown, and for you guys too, should SmackDown follow suit of Raw after the USA deal is up, or during when the Fox deal is up? Should they stay on USA, or should they be streamed exclusively on Peacock so that they can avoid things like this, so that they can actually maybe start doing the uncensored WWE that were promised when Raw moves to Netflix? You can leave your comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And let's start off with Max Mages. Do you think that they should that SmackDown should follow suit of Raw and go to Peacock instead of USA?
Well, if it's going to USA, we're going to have a little bit more leeway than we do with Fox, because USA has always granted Raw a little more leeway. Maybe not a lot, but some. Going to Peacock would probably, you're probably going to lose some viewers if you go take SmackDown exclusively to Peacock or another service. Raw is probably already going to lose some viewers because there's people that are going, I'm not signing up for Netflix just to watch wrestling. You are. I know you are. You don't have to admit it yet, but you're going to do it, especially since Triple H announced it's going to be uncensored. If you want uncensored SmackDown, though, you're going to have to give them a little bit of time with USA before they decide whether they're going to go strictly onto the app or not. I think you're going to see a more open product on USA, but I don't think we're going to get SmackDown uncensored for at least the next 5 to 10 years.
So with that, J-Bone, do you think that that SmackDown should, after the Fox deal is up, do you think that they should move strictly to USA, or should they be streamed on Peacock and say, you know what, let's test the waters and do this whole uncensored thing starting with SmackDown?
Well, I know it's already streaming, but very delayed by a few weeks on Peacock. It's going to be interesting to see, how they go from. Honestly, I don't think there's going to be that big of a change in broadcasting from Fox to from Fox to
USA.
So USA is still going to have some WWE content. Raw's going to Netflix. Smackdown is, it's such a good show. And, Fox really, God, I mean, there were times where it just looked like blacked out for like 20 seconds. And you're like, well, what the hell's going on? And all of a sudden, technical difficulties. It's like, come on.
Which is crazy.
There's better ways to do it. If you got to put it on a slightly longer delay so you can pixelate something out. I know there's technology out there you can do this shit, but I don't know.
Which is crazy to me because Fox has always been known as the one of the edgier broadcast networks. When you had Married with Children on the air, when you had, I think didn't they do Springer? They had The Simpsons on. They had all sorts of different stuff on as far as trying to pull in the adult audience. So, I mean, I get
late night series. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So I understand, bleeping out words that you don't want, cause they're worried about the FCC and all that. But yeah, there are different ways to censor things. Other than just blacking out a screen for 20 seconds and putting up a technical difficulties graphic on the screen. So it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of curious as to what the WWE is thinking backstage.
Here's the thing, though. We out here, I don't know about other places, other markets, we didn't get any kind of technical difficulty thing on the screen. All we got was a blank screen with no explanation. Yeah. Not only that, you're talking about delay. We're on the ultimate delay. We're not on the same delay you are, because in the Central Time Zone, SmackDown starts at 7 p.m. Eastern starts at 8 p.m. So if we just moved our way back to the time zones, I should be starting at 6 p.m. for us. But what they do is they delay it an hour. It doesn't start till 7 p.m. local. So I'm on that hour delay already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When it starts. So if there's anything you needed to block out, why didn't you do it on the hour delay that you had so that you didn't have to worry about blanking my screen out? That's just stupid. It really irritated me when Heyman started to talk and all of a sudden my screen went blank. Why are you doing this now? This is stupid.
Oh, yeah, it was right in the beginning. Yeah, right during the main thing. And Jacob Fatu is in the background pacing, and you feel the tension in the ring, and all of a sudden, boom, black screen. You're like, no, come back. What's going on?
It's because of the fans. Madison Square Garden was hot, and they wanted to make a name for themselves.
I thought Fox had balls. Last night proved they don't.
Yeah. Well, the
other thing we got out here, I don't know if you guys had this in your local market. During the first hour of SmackDown, I had LA Knight come on my screen and tell me that Fox 31 News is the best news source, and stick around after SmackDown to watch Fox 31 News. And then I had Grayson Waller come on my screen twice during the second hour to do the same thing.
Huh.
Oh, no. I didn't get that.
I don't think we got that in our St. Louis market either.
I think I got a promo from Triple H saying, you know what, WWE right now, if you haven't heard, it's hot. It's like, yes. Thank you, Triple H.
Thanks, Trips. Thank you, buddy. I for one am excited that we're moving away from the PG era. I am so stoked, and we're seeing things that isn't necessarily TV PG on the WWE product. And Triple H recently made an appearance on the Pat McAfee show that covers other fan-based content from WWE. However, scripting so much of the program every week is challenging. Great stories take time to write, plan, and execute, and using real-life drama behind the scenes, which fans are aware of, provides kind of a valuable source of content. So we all know that Raw is 3 hours. They'll move to Netflix in 2025. Starting January, Raw will be uncensored. Netflix. So it will be interesting to see what boundaries they cross. And Triple H, says that real life contract situations could be one of the things that they could start involving into storylines on WWE programming, including the angle involving Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio, which is really interesting. And we're currently seeing that. Are you guys into the whole contract thing? Because we've kind of seen that in the past, honestly. If you look back at other wrestlers like I'm trying to think maybe Batista or Kevin Nash or anything like that back in the past during Vince's reign, we kind of saw that whole contract thing come up. So would it be interesting to you to see that continue, J-Bone? Because again, we've seen that, but will that be interesting to viewers like us?
Once in a while, depending on what the like bigger picture is surrounding it and who it is. You can't do it too much though. That's got to be one of those unique things that they do every great once in a while.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be other, Max, it's going to be other than just contract situations and maybe some love story, like some love angles or anything like that. But what else do you think that they could bring to the table as far as real life stuff in wrestling?
I saw a meme that I hope was wrong. I hope it was just somebody joking around and pretending to quote Triple H.
Yeah.
Because basically this meme said that with the deal with Netflix, there is the potential to see a full-on dong on your screen during wrestling.
Oh my God.
I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that. All right. I don't mind some of the uncensored stuff you're talking about, but let's stay away from going quite that extreme because you're in a locker room setting. You can walk in on someone in the shower, I guess, but we don't need that. I don't want to know about all contract negotiations. For example, I would have been happy to hear about Chad Gables because that was a big deal. His contract was expected to be up before his match with Sammy. So we kind of need to know what his status is. So that would have been a good one to highlight and tell us about in story form. Drew's contract situation when he re-signed it, I would have gladly heard about that one. But right now, I don't care when Dom's contract is up. I don't care when Finn Balor's contract is up. Let them keep entertaining me. Their matches haven't been as high profile as Drew and Chad. I need to know what's going on with them. Are we still going to see them this weekend?
Yeah. And, I'm glad that you brought up the whole contract thing because that moves us into our next story. And that is the contract of Dijak, who has parted ways with WWE. And it made a lot of headlines. And apparently fans at MSG really wanted him back. They were chanting, "We want Dijak" before SmackDown went live. And apparently Dijak was interviewed and he explained that he knew where he was screwed in WWE after 2024, the draft, and they made a lot of changes about their tune as far as Dijak goes. And also, as Dijak is now out of the company, somebody else who was reportedly backstage at a SmackDown from NXT was Wes Lee. So did they get rid of Dijak to bring up Wes Lee? Are they doing that type of thing? It's kind of hard to understand the whole concept and where they're going with this because honestly, I heard about Dijak and his contract being up and him leaving the company. I totally forgot about Dijak. I don't even know who he is. Honestly, I don't know.
He's been doing some fun stuff and actually had a great match right around the time of WrestleMania. And during the draft, he got called up to Raw. And then they just completely forgot about him. I think he had like one or two matches on Main Event. He had one match a week before his departure, and that was on Speed. which I have zero interest in.
Yeah.
I've I'm sorry, if you're going to give me a match, it better be longer than 3 minutes, unless it's like, you're trying to put over a monster who's going to just do a squash match or something. Then I'm fine with that. That happens. It's happened throughout time, but if you're going to make a championship out of a 3-minute match on X, that's I'm WWE is running on all cylinders right now. They are hot as hell, but that is one thing I do not connect with.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I know there's got to be some people that watch Speed on X, but really, are you going to watch X on your phone in front of your face just to see what happens to Dijak? I'm not. I don't really care about Speed. I don't watch Speed. I couldn't tell you any of the matches on Speed. Max, I know that you watch a lot of wrestling content. Were you familiar with Dijak? Were you familiar with his performances on Speed?
I knew who Dijak was. I did not know that he was wrestling on Speed. I mean, I have this fancy option on my laptop to watch it on, or my TV's a smart TV. I can go into my browser and pull up Twitter on my TV. But I mostly just watch videos on my phone because I'm too lazy to type all that in with the remote. I knew Ricochet had originally won the Speed title. I knew that Andrade had taken it off of him. I didn't watch that match. I actually haven't watched since the first week of Speed. But I did not know that Dijak was a big part of Speed on X. That being the case, it's probably wise they split ways with him, because that would have been a very fun drug test,
Right.
Listen, I admit I forgot about Dijak too. That was bad. I mean, the guy has some talent in the ring, but I forgot he even existed until you guys brought him up about his contract expiring. I had no clue. I had no clue he parted ways. I haven't seen him in a while. I had no clue.
It's as of his contract ran up between yesterday and today. So if he wants to show up somewhere this weekend, he absolutely can. So I told my buddy Bill, who's actually currently at the Philadelphia tapings for TNA, was last night and this coming afternoon, evening now. I said, hey, give me a heads up if you see Dijak in the building.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think there's options for that. I think he could also show up at Forbidden Door. Who knows?
Yeah, because there's no compete clause right now.
Right. His contract's just done. It's not like he was terminated and then you got to wait 90 days. So no, he's done. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
And I did find something amusing.
Yeah.
I Googled him because, like I said, I had forgotten that he existed. He posted, to celebrate WWE no longer taking half of my cameo money, I am cutting my current price in half to $49. So,
from Dijak, that sounds like a good deal. If you know who the hell he is. That's the problem that's the bitch that I've had with WWE, is that they get all of these people, they call everybody up from NXT or they bring anybody in from AEW and they say, okay, we're going to push you, or they bring them up from these indie companies like MLW, like we have from Jacob Fatu, which I know he is going to get the biggest push ever, but they bring in all these people and we maybe hear about them, once or twice, see a couple matches, and then we don't hear about them anymore. We forget that they exist. That's the biggest bitch that I've always had with WWE, and that's with any promotion. Don't call somebody up and put them in the biggest wrestling promotion globally and not do anything with them. Okay, where you're going to give them a paycheck to work out at the Performance Center. That's a waste of money to me. Put their ass on TV, put them in a storyline. I don't care if it's just anywhere, anywhere that you can fit him in and give him the push that you promised him, instead of saying, hey kid, we knew that we were going to bring you in and give you a big push, but we don't know what to do with you. And I feel like that's just a big mindset at that company and in any company too. But mainly WWE, because we see it all the freaking time.
It's tough. Yeah.
And I feel for these guys. Because they work their ass off to make it to the juggernaut, the Disney of professional wrestling, to get a contract and then be cut loose and not do anything. You're just sitting there stagnant and you're not doing anything. Max, as a promoter of a wrestling company, why do they do this? Why do they continuously bring up guys from other promotions, maybe NXT, they call them up, or MLW or anywhere, maybe Women of Wrestling, and they say, hey kid, we're going to promise you this and that, and then they say, well, we don't have anything for you. Why do they continuously do this?
Because it's the same reason Jade Cargill's on the main roster instead of spending more time in developmental.
Yeah.
You've got this name that everyone's going to recognize, and you want to get them out there in front of your people as quickly as possible, but you don't think it through and realize, well, what am I going to do with them after this? We're going to do in this big bloodline storyline, but what are we going to do with Jacob Fatu when the bloodline story is over? I mean, he's not going to have anybody to control him. And I was about to point this out. Courtney makes a really good point. Where's Odyssey Jones? He's been drafted how many times, and we still haven't seen him show up on the show he's been drafted to?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's just we as promoters get in too big of a hurry, and we think I can capitalize on this and make it a big deal. And then we get out there and realize, wait, this doesn't fit in with any of our stories. How do I make this square peg go in this round hole? And sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's just not going to work out with what you have going on for your programming.
It's, and it's timing,
Yeah.
I think honestly part of it, and you see this happen all the time in wrestling companies, where you hear such and such writer just got dismissed, or this person in production, or this guy in behind the scenes got let go or whatever. I think a lot of it has to do with that. If there's a certain team of guys, or if there's a certain individual who is either assigned or they're gonna go one-on-one with this new call up, and they're gonna work with him, and I don't mean wrestle him, but just work with him, figure out a storyline for him, and then what do you know, this individual is let go, which leaves said wrestler just floating in limbo, like, oh great, I had this thing that was going to be worked out, and it's just it just doesn't work out, and it sucks. I think that's what part of it is too.
But then you have people like Max said, you have Jade Cargill, who is currently in a storyline with Bianca Belair, and she's terrible. She needs to go back to developmental when you could have had somebody like, for let's say Dijak was ready to go on TV, and he was ready, he was set, and everything was good. And you have guys like that who are ready, but then you focus on people who desperately need to go back to developmental. And I've said this about some of the guys in the Alpha Academy too. They definitely needed to go back to developmental because they're not doing anything. They're not good on TV. They're not good. Take them off of television and bring in somebody who's ready. Hopefully this move with Netflix will change. I hope the thought process of of moving too quickly with wrestlers who they sign or who they want to sign. Maybe keep them in there, maybe debut them on NXT. I don't really know too many storylines going on NXT right now that would take away from any other momentum that they've built up. So maybe if they shave the roster at NXT and move these guys up or focus one at a time, we'll have to see if that changes anything. Let's move on and talk about Vice TV, who is absolutely killing it with content, not only on other things like gang related stuff, which I really, really enjoy. I've been wanting to watch the Hells Angels biography on Vice TV, but they've also been doing, Dark Side of the Ring. They've done Dark Side of the 90s. They've been done Dark Side of Football, and they're really embracing the wrestling culture too, and especially with Who Killed WCW, which the finale was last week, I believe, and the viewership report card is in the fourth and final episode, which aired Tuesday, drew 124,000 viewers, according to Programming Insider. So here is the history of the viewership for Who Killed WCW. Episode 1, which aired on June 4th, drew in 138,000 viewers. Episode 2 on June 11th drew in about 117,000. Episode 3 was the biggest one, drawing in 148,000 viewers. And episode 4, which aired on the 25th, drew in 124,000 viewers. That is amazing, honestly, because if you think of it, a channel like Vice, who is still trying to figure out who they are as a network, is absolutely killing it with all this wrestling content that people have questioned so much, because Dark Side of the Ring, they're on what season? They're going into season 6 now of Dark Side of the Ring. Guys,
like
yeah. Have you watched Who Killed WCW yet? J-Bone, have you seen the? I have not watched the final episode. I still need to do that this weekend. But have you seen the entire episode?
I saw the first one. I have not watched the next 3. I got them on my DVR. I gotta watch them. And sometime I'll go pop some popcorn and binge watch them. But if it's made by The Rock and the guys that do the Dark Side of the Ring stuff, it's gonna be no matter if you like the opinions of the guys on the show. And everyone is going to have their own opinions as to who did what and why and how, and what really brought down the company and all that such. It should be well produced. It should be a fun watch.
If you're thinking that this is all finger pointing and everybody's just placing blame on one another, you're absolutely right. That's what it is. But who's getting most of the blame? That is what I think people are tuning in for, Max. Have you watched any of this mini series, this docu-series?
I haven't, but I've been getting little bits and pieces here and there. For example, I know that Russo believes that it's not his fault that WCW died, because he was better than 80% of the talent on that roster. I think Russo needs to lay off the drugs. I did want to point out 2 things, though. First off, the viewership decline between episode 3 and episode 4 was because at the end of episode 3 was when the finger poke of doom took place.
Yep.
And the other thing is, I want to praise Vice on their attention to detail. I mean, first off, you watch the episodes, you're like, wow, they really got a lot of information into this short time. That's not what I'm talking about. They are so good at paying attention to detail that they sat down in over 4 hours of interviews with Russo. They counted up the fact that he said bro 353 times in that 4-hour period. Dude, nobody gets that in depth when they do something like this. We probably didn't see all the bros watching the show, but you guys did, having to sit there and watch him talk in person. So I applaud you for that attention to detail, Vice.
Anybody who could sit in the room in the same room with Vince Russo for 4 hours is a fucking saint. In my personal professional opinion, bravo to you, the producers of Vice TV and of Who Killed WCW, sitting in a room secluded with Vince Russo with nothing but producers, him, a camera, some lights. God, bravo to you. The series,
and a lot of bros.
oh my God. And the series, like Max said, maintained a steady audience throughout its run. The episode 3 attracted 148,000 viewers, which is a 0.06 rating. Very good. The final episode's performance indicated consistent interest, with the demise of WCW concluding on a very strong note. If you're new to wrestling, if you're new to this and you've been hearing about WCW, go watch it because they had a hot run. They were the promotion to watch other than the WWF, which wasn't doing very good when WCW was around. And if you are interested at all in that history of WCW and where all these guys came from and where they went outside of WWF, go watch it, man. It's so good. It's so well produced. Bravo to The Rock. Bravo to the producers of Who Killed WCW. I enjoyed it. I'm excited to watch the final episode tonight. I'm going to try to watch it tonight, among other things this weekend. So I'll have to give you my personal opinion on the final episode maybe next week. Let's move on and do some AEW news, which is the biggest bitch that we've been talking about. I know Baron absolutely despises AEW and Tony Khan, and we've been complaining a lot about the women wrestlers on that brand. And since the beginning of it, the women's division in AEW has kind of faced scrutiny from not only us, but other fans who have voiced concerns about the initial neglect compared to other aspects of the promotion. Interestingly enough, Medusa recently shared her experience during her time in AEW and has revealed that many of the women wrestlers didn't want to train at all. While speaking on her YouTube channel, Medusa shared her experience about the training at AEW, and she said that she was unsure if the girls currently train there, but recounted from her first visit where she stayed just a couple of days and participated in open training sessions. Nobody showed up, and Dustin Rhodes was training the girls and invited her to join the practice, but she said that according to Medusa, they didn't have much interest in training sessions, but that's how you develop. That's how you grow. And we've been watching this. Yeah. We've been watching AEW, and we have complained about the likes of, especially me, Willow Nightingale. I know the Baron has had a lot of words for Mercedes Moné. And how are you going to get better if you don't train? I'm really interested to see what happens at Forbidden Door Sunday with the women's roster, because there's a lot of women's matches sets on that card for Forbidden Door. J-Bone, what are your thoughts on these women wrestlers who absolutely refuse to train at AEW?
Well, in Mercedes Moné's defense, I have seen plenty of clips online where she's practicing, not necessarily with AEW, but where she's training somewhere down in Mexico or in someone else's ring, staying, trying to, she was warming up for her comeback. And, so I mean, it's all a matter of opinion as far as whether you like her in-ring stuff or not. But I know she's been working hard to try to come back. But
let me interrupt. Let me interrupt real quick. It doesn't just start with the in-ring performance. It also starts with cutting a decent promo, which I feel Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné can't do. I think the only strong one on that roster in that division is Tony Storm, who can cut a decent promo.
I think there's more than that, but I hear, Tony Storm is definitely like the benchmark as far as where you want to hit, as far as originality and charisma and stuff like that. Absolutely. And then they put other girls with her that need some help that, because Tony Storm's been around a while. And they should absolutely be going to guys like Dustin Rhodes or others backstage to, discuss, promos, discuss this, discuss that. I mean, use those tools that you have. It's mind-blowing that more people, we don't see what happens backstage. We don't know who's all showing up. We're not privy to that. But from what it sounds like, it should be a lot more people taking advantage of certain, legends' gifts.
Yeah. Well, and Tony Khan needs to take a page out of that book, because he's got to start utilizing his people too that he's been hiring. It would make a more how do I say this? Just a better, more rounded product. Yeah.
If you open up and let others people, you have a plethora, decades upon decades upon decades of talent backstage that you can lean on, learn from, take a piece of this, and put it all together. And man, like the card for this Sunday, which we're going to get into shortly, it's a great card. There's a lot of great wrestlers on there, but some of them just,
I
don't know.
And it all starts with Tony Khan too, making these women wrestlers go to training sessions, or else they face a penalty. Hey, we're going to fine you if you don't go. And if you don't go within so many times of being fined, then we're going to just have to terminate you. Max, I know that you were involved with many promotions. Did you ever have anybody, as far as women wrestlers or men wrestlers, refuse to go to training sessions to hone their craft?
Yeah, we had one or two that thought they were too good to show up for training. And I'm not going to lie, being that I didn't do a lot of in-ring work, I didn't show up to a lot of training myself. But when you were out there and you're putting your life in other people's hands and you're asking them to put theirs in yours, you should probably show up to training at least once in a while. And we had people that just decided they didn't need that they were good enough at what they were doing, that they didn't have to put anybody, they didn't have to go to be at training to work on any of that. But I want to apply that to this current situation. One, J-Bone was right. We don't know exactly what's going on backstage. Maybe they are going to some sort of training session and they just didn't want to show up to the one Medusa was at. This doesn't even touch on whether the guys are showing up for training sessions for AEW. I assume some of them are, but you have some strong. You have some strong locker room leaders there. Tony Storm, Britt Baker, Saraya. You have women that know the benefit of doing the training and showing up for a training session that I'm sure are getting in these women's ear and saying, I need you to show up for this. Come on. This is what we do on this level. We show up and we work on our craft and we make it better. That's the purpose of continuing training after you're a trained wrestler. You want to find ways to improve, and there is always room for improvement, always something new to learn by showing up to training. That's my recommendation. But I also think it's funny that it's Medusa that came up in this story, because I recently learned something new about Medusa that I thought I was asleep and just made this up in my mind. So while you were talking about all this, I had to look it up and confirm it. Medusa is a monster truck driver. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She is known as the Queen of Carnage.
Huh.
This started as a, if I remember the meme I saw, it started out as this guy was like, I'm a monster truck driver. If you think you can do this, come on down. And she ended up going down there and doing it and being really good at it. And she even ended up beating him in however the competition breaks down. I just know I show up to watch the carnage and destruction when I go to a monster truck rally.
Sure.
But I mean, I did not know that until the last couple of days. And like I said, I thought I was dreaming when I learned it. So I looked it up and boom, she really is the Queen of Carnage.
I had no clue. But we've all we know that AEW is struggling, not only in the locker room, not only with the product that they're putting on for us as fans, but they're also struggling to keep their shows afloat on the networks. And I'm talking about Warner Brothers Discovery, who owns TBS, they own TNT, any of the former Turner networks they own. And I don't know if you guys caught Dynamite last week, but man, there was a lot of foul language on that. There are a lot of questionable stuff, and I know that they're still trying to compete with the WWE, but Warner Brothers Discovery, the parent company of AEW, appears to have adopted some stricter stances on profanity on their broadcasts. In the past, AEW Dynamite segments often included frequent swearing, but recently many previously accepted words and phrases are now being censored. This was apparent on the June 26th episode of Dynamite, where MJF faced censorship during his promo while speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio. Uncle Dave noted that some things have changed in Warner Brothers Discovery when it comes to profanity, as they even censored tame words and phrases on Dynamite this week, and something that really hasn't been in the case in the past. So it's going to be interesting, especially if AEW has to bend to Warner Brothers Discovery to maybe keep their show on the network, because let's face it, they're not drawing in high numbers. They're not being the premier show or the premier brand over WWE, and they're fighting to stay on. I mean, I know Tony Khan was in constant talks with Warner Brothers Discovery and possibly other networks to see where he could take his company if Warner Brothers pulled the plug. So where do we see this going? Do we see AEW leaving Warner Brothers? Because right now they need Warner Brothers Discovery. They need them more than Warner Brothers needs AEW.
I don't think they're going anywhere. I think it's just a matter of time before something officially gets announced. From what I've heard, I know there's been a lot of ups and downs in numbers and such, but from what I've heard over the last few years, leading up to this, is that Warner Brothers has been happy with the numbers. Mm-hmm. I believe I've heard that a number of times, and it's just a matter of them coming up with the proper number that everyone's happy with. So, from what I've heard, take this with a grain of salt, because I don't remember what source this was. They are going to get paid more than the original 5-year deal that they originally did. So, hey, that's still an upswing from what that's called growth. So, hey, they're not going to have a multi-billion-dollar contract like WWE got and sold for.
But they also have to keep advertisers happy. That's the problem with WCW. If you watch
sponsors,
not even sponsors, just regular advertisers. If you have a toy, let's say you have a toy company, and they selected their prime time. They selected the prime time viewing to promote their toy company, and the folks at TBS granted that because they paid money for that. Now, if I'm the CEO of that toy company and I'm watching AEW and I see the likes of MJF going out there and cussing up a storm and doing this and doing that, and then it shows the advertisement for the toy company, I'm not going to be too happy about that. I'm not going to be happy about that at all, because if you're trying to promote family-friendly stuff and MJF isn't being very family-friendly, then what's the point of me staying on there? And I'm going to take my money somewhere else to another family-friendly environment or network. And it's all about who can you keep happy. And that's the thing. That's the thing about broadcasting. Who can you keep happy, or who should you keep happy? Should you keep your programming happy because they get to do whatever they want, or should you keep the people who are paying the bills to keep the lights on happy? You know, that's the big question.
I think you got to have a happy mix of everything.
You do, absolutely. Max, I know that you have been critical with AEW in the past too. Do you feel like they should follow this stricter language policy from Warner Brothers Discovery just to keep advertisers happy and possible sponsors happy? Because right now, honestly, they don't have a lot of sponsors. They really don't. So
their biggest sponsor is the Jags, right?
Well, yeah, but that's daddy's money, you know. But to stay sponsor friendly, should they follow this stricter language policy from Warner Brothers Discovery so that they can get other sponsors other than Ric Flair's drink and their video game?
I'm not looking at it from the sponsor angle as far as the language is concerned. This is where I'm looking at it from. Warner Brothers Discovery kind of let them have a little bit of a loose rein when it came to the language on the TV. They were hoping that would bring in more viewers. And early on, it did seem like it helped a little bit. But now they're looking at the numbers going, you know what? There hasn't been a vast improvement. We're going to tighten that leash a little bit, just go back to a cleaner thing. Maybe we can draw another younger demographic in to watch the show. Now, you get that younger demographic, you are going to open yourself up to more sponsorship, because that new sponsorship is going to go, hey, they've got a younger demographic now watching their product. We can advertise our stuff. But the thing is, you got to look at it from the other perspective. It's not about the sponsors. We tried. We gave you this incredible gift, and we let you run your mouth however you wanted on your television program. It did not bring your numbers up. You did not deliver on your end. So we're going to tighten that leash back up and see if that changes anything. I'm telling you right now, AEW is probably in trouble with the network because they can't seem to get their numbers up. But then you have Tony Khan going out there and getting on the news and saying, yeah, we had 500 million people over the last year at our live shows. What? Do you even
I think that was a typo. Did he say that, or was that a typo?
I didn't actually watch it. I just took it at face value. Now I'm hoping he didn't say that, but knowing Khan as well as I do, he probably did.
Let's talk about, let's keep this conversation going too for AEW, because the Double or Nothing pay-per-view that happened some time ago in Vegas, the ticket sales, the revenue was released, and apparently all Elite Wrestling generated over $500,000 from over 9,000 fans at MGM Grand on May 26th. And the Collision event that was held the night before in the same venue brought in an additional $112,000, over 112, and that was from over 3,000, almost 4,000 ticket sales. And they budgeted for this pay-per-view, for both pay-per-view and Collision combined, over $3 million for this show. And the information was submitted to the Nevada Governor's Office of Economic Development as a part of an application for a tax credit of over $300,000. And the average ticket price for Double or Nothing was $64, and Collision's average ticket price was $28. And this year's attendance was slightly lower than the 2023 event, which had over 10,000 attendees at that Double or Nothing. So we're seeing the numbers kind of dipping for AEW, but we also see numbers dipping for WWE because look, let's face it, we don't know what the ticket sales are like for WWE because they always go on the air and say we're sold out. We're sold out. We're sold out. We're sold out. And even though the arena is more lit on a WWE product than it is on the AEW product to hide the fact that, hey, we don't have that many fans here, that says a whole lot to me that they are really, really struggling, not only financially, but they're also struggling to keep their product afloat. And, you know, when you have wrestlers on your roster and you tell them, you know what, go out and cut whatever promo you want. Week after week after week after week, they continuously go out. Guess what? They're going to just take it and run with it because wrestlers are charismatic. They're charismatic individuals. They are taught to get interaction with the fans no matter how you have to do it. Yeah. But then again, thinking as a broadcaster, you know, well, you know, I know you gave them freedom to do whatever they want, but now we're going to bring this leash in. You know, it's like a 5-year-old, you know, continuously. You tell them that, hey, you can have a cookie before dinner, but then you implement this rule that, hey, you can't have a cookie anymore. You have to eat your vegetables first. They're going to throw a tantrum, and they're going to do whatever they want. And that's what we're seeing with these wrestlers on AEW.
I love cookies.
I know. I love cookies too. But you got to eat your vegetables before you have a cookie, J-Bone. Okay? I know.
So I looked it up, and it does sound like this may have just been a typo on Fox's part based on a bunch of stuff I'm reading. My favorite comment that I saw about it, though, says Fox and misinformation. Name a more iconic duo. And a recurring comment that I keep seeing is, oh, that's why their TV ratings are so low. Everyone's at the shows.
No one's watching. The arenas are packed. You just can't tell.
Yeah. So, yeah, it looks like it may have been a typo on Fox's part.
They break the fire code on every show. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right. So Forbidden Door is Sunday, and we do have the card. They're live tomorrow from the UBS Arena in Long Island, New York. And I think everybody has the card. If not, I'm going to put it into the chat here, the private chat. And let's go over the card and give our predictions for tomorrow's Forbidden Door. So we and we're going to and J-Bone, I know that you have the pre-show matches lined up.
Card, yeah.
Now let's talk about. I want you to go over the first 3 matches before the actual show begins. Before we get to the main card.
Yeah,
and we can dive into that if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's all right,
because there's a lot of matches coming up, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's a lot of matches coming up for the Owen Hart Cup.
It's a whole mix of stuff. There's tournament stuff, there's tag matches, there's all sorts of things. So there's 13 matches total.
Yeah,
holy shnikes. You can just compare that to a WWE event, and it's man, it's like oil and water, you know. It's like two extreme, 2 ends of the spectrum. All right, pre-show, three matches. We got Chris Statlander and Momo Watanabe versus Willow Nightingale. Dizzy, I think you said she's one of your favorites. And Tam Nakano. So you've got a women's tag match there. Should be fun. You got now this one is gonna definitely garner some attention. This is part of the women's Owen Hart Cup tournament quarterfinal match. Mariah May versus Saraya. So that's gonna be fun.
That could be good.
Yeah. And then they got Mystico and the Lucha Brothers For those, I think, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Mystico used to be in the WWE. He was, I can't think of what the hell his name was.
I can't think of it either.
He was in there for a while.
Sin Cara.
Thank you. Yeah. Mystico, I believe, was Sin Cara. Thank you, Max.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Look at the big brain on Max Mages. All right. Mystico and the Lucha Bros versus Los Ingobernables de Japón, which is Takahashi, Toji, and Titan.
Mm-hmm.
And if I botched any of those names, my deepest apologies.
Yeah, I mean, this is a combined AEW and New Japan show, so we're gonna get some names that we don't really know how to pronounce, honestly. But that's the pre-card. That's the card before the main one. Let's talk about the main card. The first match, and I hope that they put this on like we're going to run it down or present it, I should say. Kenoshi Takeshita versus Mark Briscoe versus Jack Perry versus Dante Martin versus Lio Rush versus El Phantasmo in a ladder match for the vacant AEW TNT Championship. Now, if we have watched AEW in the past before leading up to Forbidden Door, we know that Jack Perry is getting a big push with the Elite. And a lot of people are saying that Jack Perry is going to walk away with that TNT championship because the Elite is going for all the gold in AEW to pretty much run the company. So with that being said, out of all those, who do you think? Who do you got, Max?
This is a fun little thing because I could easily pick Lio Rush because apparently AEW likes him. I could pick Konosuke Takeshita. But really, I think it's going to come down to Mark Briscoe or Jack Perry. And I think that with the way the Elite has been pushing Jack Perry, I'm thinking it's probably going to be Jack Perry.
I agree. I think Jack Perry has a very strong possibility in walking away with the AEW TNT Championship because not only do the brothers have the tag team championships, but doesn't their other guy, can't think of his name, doesn't he have a belt too?
Okada, yeah.
Okada's got a belt. So J-Bone, who do you got, man?
I agree with Max. I think this is Jack Perry's time. He's been talking for many a moon now about getting a singles title finally around his waist in AEW. And I feel like his heel character has really grown. I love what he's doing as a scapegoat. I like that he's part of the Elite. It's a fresh coat of paint on him. He really needed it. It's like you can only be Jungle Boy so long, and now he's really grown. As the company's grown, that is one original talent that I think we can all agree on that Tony's doing the right thing with, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm going to go with Jack Perry on that too. Next up, the singles match for the AEW Women's Championship between Timeless Toni Storm, who's the current champ, and Mina Shirakawa. I think Tony is going to retain this championship if they do this right. J-Bone, your thoughts?
Yeah, this has been a fun one because it's almost like a relationship tug of war between Mina and Toni Storm, and I think it's what's her name? Mariah May getting stuck in the middle of this. Yeah. So it's comical. It's kind of like, well, what's going on here? This is the strongest that Tony's been with her character and holding this title. I don't think she's going to drop this anytime soon.
Yeah. Which Mariah May will be ringside in support of both participants. Max, who do you got?
first off, Mariah May being at ringside in support of both participants means that you really are going to have a hard time predicting exactly what's going to go down. Let me give this a shot. Mariah May is going to have to make a choice during this match. She can no longer support both of these women when the AEW Women's World Championship is on the line. Is she going to break down and throw her support behind Toni Storm, who has mentored her in AEW all this time? Or does she throw her support behind her friend from Japan, Mina Shirakawa? Mm-hmm. I think that the fact that Toni Storm is in her corner at the in the Owen Hart Cup, even though Mina's there as well, I think the fact that Toni Storm has the belt and is in her corner for the Cup match, I think that she's going to side with Toni Storm, and Toni Storm's going to get the win in this match.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to the trios match. The Learning Tree, Chris Jericho and Big Bill with Jeff Cobb and Brian Keith versus Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata. And honestly, are we even sold on this whole Learning Tree thing? Because I'm really not. I really could care less. Max.
You know, I got to see a bit of this the other night. And I didn't think I was going to remember. I messaged you guys and I was like, why is Jericho giving advice to all these people? No. And I wasn't sold on it at first, but when I sat down, I saw the segment I watched. He had Private Party come down to the ring. And guys, this is just another version of the list. And I mean, Jericho is so much fun with whatever he does. I'm not opposed to the Learning Tree anymore. I think it is the fact that it's Jericho. You could not do this with anybody else, in my opinion. I think it is hilarious. Samoa Joe's a big guy. He has been seen walking away from people in the ring when they come off that top turnbuckle. But I'm having fun with what I'm seeing of the Learning Tree now. I'm still going to go with Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata, though.
J-Bone.
Yeah, I usually for the last several years, whatever Chris Jericho did was usually one of the main things I loved watching. And for the first time in over 5 years now in AEW, I get the gimmick and I get he's a heel, but I've seen him do so many other heel things that just almost felt like natural. This one, he's super charismatic. He's over the top. He's obnoxious as hell. Hi. Oh, by the way, did you know that? No, shut the hell up. Get off my screen, man. I can't stand him. I really can't stand him. I can't wait till this gimmick is done. I appreciate who he's with. I love Big Bill. You know, he's got some success now with Jericho. I appreciate that he's trying to help him. I appreciate the fact that Samoa Joe has become like a mentor to Hook. Hook definitely needs that. Hook is a great character, great wrestler, but he needs something. He needs some kind of mentor, some kind of manager. And if Taz is stuck on commentary, Taz can't always be there for him.
Right.
He can do his announcing stuff and support him from where he's sitting off ringside or on stage or wherever, the announce table is. But yeah, it's nice to have Samoa Joe, whether you love him or hate him, in this position. And then I don't know how Shibata got in this, but he's an icon in New Japan. So it's a whole hodgepodge, like I said, of AEW and New Japan stuff. Some of it makes sense. Some of it really just feels like it's just kind of thrown together last minute, but it is what it is.
Well, and we talked about this off air. The reason we're seeing all these people is because they're trying to keep New Japan happy, So if they're bringing in new big stars for New Japan, they gotta keep them happy. And going back to what you said, J-Bone, about your frustrations with Chris Jericho and being annoyed by him, every time I see Chris Jericho with this whole Learning Tree thing, I'm reminded of when Diamond Dallas Page joined the WWF and he had that whole yoga thing, or the personal trainer character that he was that he was a part of.
Oh, when he so it's the character he had like right after he did the rivalry with Undertaker.
Yep.
And he was like big smiley face guy. He was like,
Yep.
Oh God, horror! I hated that.
That's what it reminds me of every single time. So I think they're giving. I mean, I think they're giving the learning tree a big push here. So I'm just going to go with the learning tree, going over Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata with that one. Next up, we move on to MJF and I can't even pronounce this guy's name. Hishiro.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
That sounds okay. Max, am I pronouncing it correctly? Yeah, thank you.
Heshishiro.
Thank you. Heshishiro.
Heshishiro.
Thank you. Who do you got, Max?
Don't hurt yourself.
Listen,
not to.
I think we all know that I am an MJF guy, and I will always be an MJF guy. I am going with MJF on this match.
Yeah, I'm going to go with MJF too. Who you got, J-Bone, MJF or Achu?
Bless you, MJF.
Thank you. Some names that I can pronounce. Yay, finally. Zack Sabre versus Orange Cassidy is the next match we got here. This is going to be a good one, a very good one. I am going to say Orange Cassidy on this one. J-Bone, who do you got?
I'm trying to remember if these two faced each other already before. I think they did. If they didn't, I know Zack Sabre's faced a couple people in these Forbidden Door shows. Excuse me. I don't know. And this is a tough one because, man, Zack Sabre is definitely one of the best wrestlers on this card. I mean, he'll twist you up like a pretzel and leave you in an alley, for dead. And Orange Cassidy's just, man, once he gets fired up and gets going, he's just entertaining as hell to watch. So, God, I'm going to go with, I love Orange Cassidy, but I think I'm going to go with Zack Sabre Jr. on this one.
And I predict this to be match of the night number 1. Because there's some matches on here that are really, really promising. Max, who do you got? Is it Zack Sabre Jr. or Orange Cassidy?
Yeah, listen, Zack Sabre Jr. is a very talented guy, but I'm going Orange Cassidy.
Okay, perfect. Next up is the match for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship between Jon Moxley and Naito. And this I'm predicting to be match of the night number 2. And I don't think that Mox is going to drop the championship belt, but I think to keep New Japan happy, he'll drop and Naito will walk away. So I'm going to predict Naito walks away the champ of the IWGP. Max, who do you have?
I am thinking Moxley's going to hold on to it just a little bit longer.
Do you?
Yeah.
You don't think that they'll keep New Japan happy and give it to Naito?
Oh, no. I don't think it's about making New Japan happy right now. I think Moxley holds on to it a little bit longer and then loses it in Japan.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. J-Bone.
Could be, yeah. This definitely will be one of the best matches of the night. I haven't watched hardly any New Japan stuff lately. On my Access TV, they'll show some delayed shows from like a few weeks prior, and they'll pick like a couple matches to show here and there. But beyond that, but I know Naito's a hell of a talent, and Mox has always been one of my favorites. But I got to go with Mox on this one.
Okay. Next up, winner takes all match for both the AEW TBS Championship and the NJPW Strong Women's Championship. Mercedes Moné versus Stephanie Vakir.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about a different match. Sorry.
Oh no. Who do you have on that one, J-Bone?
I gotta go with the boss.
Okay.
Mercedes Moné.
Okay. Max.
Look, I think it should be. I really think that this match should be going in Stephanie Vaquer's favor, but I think we all know that that's not how it's going to go. I think we all know that the artist formerly known as the Boss is going to get the win here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I really want Stephanie to go over on this match, but I think the way that they're pushing Mercedes Moné right now, which she really honestly doesn't deserve a push. I'm going to go with Mercedes Moné, and I'm also going to say that if she does win and when she comes out, neither time will she get a pop at all. She won't get a pop. She hasn't received any pops at all. They have been pushing her, and they gave her this big ass introduction on the Titantron, and they gave her this entrance music, and even when she debuted, they gave her a fucking marching band, and the people never popped. The people don't pop for her, J-Bone. I don't care if she does a goofy ass dance. She can do it all day. They're not going to cheer for her. They're just not going to do it. Next up, we move on to a trios match because I'm done bitching about it. The Elites versus Scissor Eights. We have Matthew Jackson, Nicholas Jackson, and Okada versus Anthony Bowens and Max Caster with Tanahashi. This isn't for a gold or anything like that. I don't think so, at least. I don't think this is for the tag belts, is it?
It's not no, it's not. It's kind of like a grudge match because the Elite have had it in for the Acclaimed for a while now, messing with their entrances and just trying to knock them down a peg. That's what the Elite's doing.
Yeah, I'm since it's not for the belts, I'm gonna go with the Scissor Ace. I'm gonna go with them to go over on this match again because it's not for the belts. Max, who do you think?
Real quick, before I give my pick on this, fun fact, Max Caster actually appeared on Raw at one point. You may not have recognized him because he was dressed up as one of Bobby Lashley's sisters, brought down to the ring by Sami Zayn, and the whole point was he and the other two that were dressed up as Bobby Lashley's sisters were there to beat down Bobby Lashley. That being said, my pick for this match is going to be Scissor Ace, Bowens, Caster, and Tanahashi.
Okay. Who do you have after that little tidbit of information?
That was one of the worst segments in Bobby Lashley's history in the WWE. It was
pretty bad.
That ranked right up there when they had Leo Rush with him, and all he did was point at Bobby Lashley's ass. Bobby Lashley went through some horrible shit.
Yeah.
God, I'm still in therapy over it.
Kind of like Booker T at ECW. I'm sure he's still in therapy. After
the
stuff that
they did a number on him too. Yeah. I gotta go with the Acclaimed and Tanahashi, and I think that'll lead to stretching out this feud a little more, and which will lead to Caster and Bowens going after the tag team championships down the line, next pay-per-view possibly, or maybe even on TV. That'd be nice.
Yeah. We move on to the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament first round match between Bryan Danielson and Shingo Takagi. Yep. Jesus Christ, these fucking names. Okay. And no disrespect to any of the wrestlers on New Japan. I just can't pronounce your freaking names. That's just it, man.
The Spanish is horrible, man. Jesus Christ.
I know, right? I know. El Precato. I don't know. We're gonna go with Bryan Danielson on this one.
Say it with me. El Fantasmo.
Yeah. El Fantastico.
Damn it.
LMNOP. Max Magus.
Despite the fact that I can say Shingo Takagi, I'm going with Bryan Danielson on this.
I figured you could because you always correct everybody, Max. J-Bone.
Excuse me. Thank you, Max. Yeah, I gotta go with the Dragon on this one.
Okay. And the last match we have here, hopefully the card will look like this on the pay-per-view. We have the final match, Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay for the AEW World Championship. This is going to be match of the night number 3. And this is going to be a tough one. Be really tough one to predict. I kind of, before I make a pick, I got to hear your thoughts. Because again, this is going to be tough. J-Bone, who do you have, man? Who do you think?
Yeah, this is tough, man. I mean, Will Ospreay's rise in popularity ever since he joined AEW has been just, he's had great matches. He's had some fun promos, and I'm not going to go back and talk about the controversial stuff. That stuff's gone with the win. That's not worth mentioning. But he's been on a nonstop, and it really depends on what's going on in the mind of the booker here, because, do we just slingshot Will Ospreay to the top, put him on top of the company, and have Swerve, just go back into chasing mode, go for another title or something? Or does he trust Swerve to lead this company into possibly the rest of the year as champ? It's really hard, and you can sit there and armchair this match all day. God, I'm going to go with Will Ospreay. I think it's a bit of a risk, but I think it's a risk he just might take.
If you
Either way, it's going to be an amazing match. These two are going to burn.
Yeah. If you watched last week, MJF opened up the show, and Daniel Garcia came out, and MJF expressed the fact that Daniel Garcia is doing amazing things in AEW. He gave him a match with MJF at Wembley at All In. But then Will Ospreay came out and said, hey, bruv, next pay-per-view, I'll put the title on the line. So do you think, I mean, with that being said, I don't think that they're going to put the belt on Will Ospreay. I think Swerve is going to keep the AEW championship, and will keep his championship, and then he'll go up against Daniel Garcia at the next pay-per-view for that title. That's my thought on it. Max, who do you have?
I mean, honestly, it depends on whether they want to unify the titles or not. And since it doesn't sound like there's been any talk of unifying, and the belt is only going one direction, it's not both titles on the line, I really think Swerve's going to retain this. I think he's going to remain your AEW champion.
Do you think it's smart to even try to unify the titles? I don't think so.
No, in fact, I'm getting really tired of titles getting unified.
Yeah.
If it's absolutely necessary, it's fine. But we had the tag titles unified for how long in the WWE? We had the top titles, the top men's titles, unified for how long in the WWE? I'm getting a little tired of that. Let's leave it alone unless you're actually phasing a belt out. In this case, it would have to be the AEW International title. But if you're not doing that, let's not unify them. Let's just leave the belt on Swerve and go from there.
Yep, I totally agree. There's your card for Forbidden Door, New Japan, and All Elite Wrestling for this Sunday on pay-per-view. And are you guys looking forward to the pay-per-view at least? I mean, it's kind of a stacked card, and from what I've seen in the past pay-per-views that I've watched on AEW, the pay-per-view is always better than any of the shows that we see on the networks. Max, are you excited, man?
I do not expect that we're getting the pay-per-view here at the house. And actually, since Rowdy is not here this weekend, I'm going to go with no, we aren't. But I will be watching the results because there are matches I'm excited for, and there's matches that you know what? If I miss them, I miss them. I'm not going to feel bad.
Well, I think there's always a way we can get you to watch the pay-per-view. J-Bone, are you excited, man?
I'm excited. Not as excited as as far as other ones, but it is fun to watch the relationship between AEW and CMLL and New Japan, and all these guys get together and do this. So it's kind of rare, yeah. But it should be fun, yeah.
And I think WWE is kind of taking notice to that oh gosh, AEW is teaming up with not only New Japan but CMLL. Maybe we ought to team up with TNA and put this partnership to use. And it's just a really beautiful time in wrestling. Go ahead, Max.
And the thing is, AEW had a relationship going with TNA. I don't know what the hell they did to screw it up, but I mean, their loss is WWE's gain, because I don't know about you guys, but I would rather see Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry on the WWE side, not on the AEW side. That's me.
Yeah. I have a fear that if either Joe Hendry or Jordan Grace get called up to the main roster, they have so much momentum going on in TNA right now. Joe Hendry is beyond over in TNA and in NXT. If they get called up to the main roster, they're going to lose steam. They're going to lose so much steam.
Well, Barr actually made a really good point. Right now, the only thing you should do with Joe Hendry is NXT. Why?
Yeah.
Because the Wyatts and the new Bloodline are just picking up steam on Raw and SmackDown, and you do not want him to have to encounter them and have them destroy him, because really that's all that can happen, is they destroy him, not the other way around.
Right. Yeah. That's what I mean. If any of those two get called up, or anybody from TNA who has steam, J-Bone, they're going to lose all that momentum that they have going on for them in the other promotion. So it's like, why even do it?
It's I feel like Jordan Grace is destined to go to WWE someday. She's done.
I think someday, yeah.
She's done phenomenal in TNA. She's represented the brand very well, and represented so many different different things that she's I don't want to say, for lack of better words, I'll just say charities, different things to earn money for, or promote the what was the big one she was doing a couple of years ago when she really started getting into bodybuilding, was against the body shaming of women, and just women being proud of themselves and how they look and everything. She did that for the longest time, and sure. I just think that's tremendous, so
yeah. Well, that is going to wrap it up for the show this week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We certainly hope you enjoy Forbidden Door if you decide to watch it. And please follow the Baron. You can follow him before we get to the other socials. Scumbag Jordan with 3 N's, and we wish him a speedy return. And I'm going to follow up with the RBI, Ramblers Bureau of Investigation, to figure out what the hell is going on with our Baron. Live, return him, please. Max, how can they follow you, sir?
Wrestling side of things, or find at Our Shots Podcast for the nerdy side of things.
There you go. J-Bone.
Oh, you can follow me over on that other little show called Total Nonstop Impact or Smash This Podcast. If you're looking for me on the socials, you can find me on the old Twitter box at jbone5150.
And you can follow our show on X at the Ramblers Pod. Find us on Facebook too. Ramblers Unleashed, facebook.com/Ramblers Unleashed. Please subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends about us. Hit that little bell icon at the bottom, and that'll let you know every time we go live. We are up to 188 subscribers. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you. Don't forget to check out the merchandise that we have, too. We have a big merch store in the description below this video. And please, whatever you do, enjoy professional wrestling. Enjoy escaping from the bullshit of day-to-day crap that we all have to put up with. That's why we do this show, and that's why we do it for you, too. And enjoy Forbidden Door if you watch it this weekend. And we'll talk to you next Saturday. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you later. Boom.
Thanks for tuning in to Ramblers Unleashed. Follow the show on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click the bell icon for notifications of upcoming episodes.